In talking about the virus, it feels like, understandably, everyone is trying to find an answer. Everybody is trying to find their own solution. Unfortunately, that has bred, uh,
Bred or breeding means here it means causing or caused something.
it's created a breeding ground for misinformation.
Misinformation means wrong information.
For instance, cures that people are touting online,
Touting means announcing.
concoctions of different
Concoctions are mixtures.
medications, etc. We read about malaria drugs and chloroquine or whatever it is. What is the biggest warning you would give to the general public about trying to self-medicate, or is there any cure that people actually have discovered? What, as a leading health expert, what do you say about this issue?
So right now, today, as we speak, there is no proven safe and effective direct therapy for coronavirus disease, for sure. There are a number of clinical trials.
Clinical trials, he's talking about research to find out more about the problem.
That are trying to, by randomized controlled trials, get a
randomized controlled trial means you compare a group of people who have the sickness with another group of people who may or may not have it.
definitive answer as to what works and what does work, not work, what's safe, what's not safe. Superimposed upon
Superimposed means in addition to.
that, there are drugs that are already approved for other things, like hydroxychloroquine for malaria and for certain autoimmune diseases. That there have been anecdotal stories. By anecdotal, I mean people kind of think they work, but they haven't really proven they work. That's really gotten out there on the internet. So people are very enthusiastic, since generally these drugs appear to be safe, and they are, but they do have some toxicity.
Toxicity is like poison.
So a lot of people want a drug even though it's not proven, just in case it might help them. You got to be careful about that for a couple of reasons. You don't want to take that drug off the market for the people who really need it, who have the diseases it's used for. And on the other hand, there may be some toxicity. That's the reason why we're pushing to try and get as many good clinical trials as possible to prove if it works. If it does, then get it out there really fast for everybody.
Got it. I have 4 questions because I know we're going to run out of time, but I just want to let you know I have 4 questions that I think are really important. Number one, we hear about this clock, 15 days, where things will be reassessed, 15 days where
Reassessed means consider something again, look at it again.
people might go back 15 days, every country 21 days. There seems to be a clock. My question is, what is that clock supposed to be, and is there a certain amount of time that people can be away from each other where coronavirus goes away? And the follow-up in that same question is, does the clock start if people are not completely quarantined during that period?
Quarantine means separated and not able to transmit the disease.
Yeah, the virus is the clock, Trevor. So people say may arbitrarily, well,
Arbitrarily means just choosing something without knowing for sure.
in 2 weeks we're going to be okay. It depends on the kinetics
Kinetics means direction.
of the outbreak. Right now, take New York City. They are getting hit really hard, and the kinetics of the outbreak is going there. You can't predict when it'll make that turnaround and start coming down. In general, if you look historically at countries that have been through the whole cycle, in China, it was about 8 weeks or so before it went way up and then way down. In Korea, the same thing. So if you look at each individual country, and being a big country as we are here in the United States, we're almost like a lot of little countries. Like New York in itself can be considered a country. California can be considered a country. So it's unpredictable about when you can say this cycle. It's usually measured in several weeks. Sometimes when you're into the cycle, you may only be 2 to 3 weeks away before it starts to turn around.
Right. Okay, so then to that point, that's then my second of the 4 questions. Second question is New York City really harder hit, or is New York's testing making the numbers spike up, and is this something that...
Spike up means go up high.
we're going to see start trending throughout America?
Trending means going in a certain direction.
Well, there are a couple of good questions right in there. New York is more hardly hit for sure. The nature of the city, the crowding of the city, the fact that you get the beginning of your outbreak when you get influx from other countries.
Influx means coming in.
China was the index country that
Index means first.
came in. New York is a travel hub of the country, so clearly we had a lot of cases come in. By the time they realized what they were dealing with, they had already gotten a sucker punch.
Sucker punch is a slang term. It means a really hard hit.
And they really were playing catch up. They didn't do anything wrong. They're not very different, except that they're a big, robust city.
Robust means big and strong.
And because of that, they're getting hit hard.
Okay, and then the second last question is with regards to reinfection and immunity. We talk about people who have it and are asymptomatic.
Okay, asymptomatic means not having any symptoms. That prefix A means not or without. So he's talking about some people get the virus but don't have any sign of it. They don't get sick at all.
Like we talk about people who are recovering, and we're starting to see those numbers grow around the world. Do we know yet if getting corona and surviving corona means that you're now immune to the disease, or is there a chance of reinfection?
We don't know that for 100% certain because we haven't done the study to see re-challenges, whether
Re-challenges means people being exposed to the disease again.
they've been protected. But I feel really confident that if this virus acts like every other virus that we know, once you get infected, get better, clear the virus, that you'll have immunity that will protect you against reinfection.
And just checking that you remember immunity means you can't get it, you're safe.
So it's never 100%, but I'd be willing to bet anything that people who recover are really protected against reinfection.
Okay, and then our final question, and thank you so much for your time. I really hope everyone understands how important it is to listen to you. Final question with regards to the government, the CDC, the NIH.
CDC is, oh dear, these are government agencies that deal with disease and health, and I can't remember exactly what they stand for. Center for Disease Control is the first one. National Institutes of Health is the second one.
And all of the units working together. Right now, it feels like there is a push and pull, a tug of war between states and the
A tug of war is a contest or conflict.
federal government, etc. For Americans who are out there watching this, what is the plan, and what do you think needs to happen for the whole unit of the United States to fight the coronavirus? You know, implementing different.
Implement means starting to do something. He's talking about just now about how the experts at the at agencies that deal with infectious disease often seem to disagree with what the president is saying.
Checks and balances along the way to make sure that everyone fights it and the numbers go down.
Well, that's a very good question. Things are implemented at the state and local level. That's the way this country works so well. The federal government is a facilitator.
Facilitator means a helper.
It's a supplier. It's a supporter. And that's the way things should be going. And that's what we're starting to see now as we are catching up on things that weren't done so well in the beginning. We now have many, many more tests. The private industry is getting involved.
Private industry means factories, companies.
The government's not making the test. The private industry is. The ventilators that are needed coming out of the stockpile, yet companies are starting to.
Stockpile means supplies. The ventilator is the medical equipment that helps people breathe, that if you get extremely sick with this virus, you need in order to survive.
To make more. So it really is a marriage between the federal government as the facilitator and supporter of where the real action is at the state and local level.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fauci. You've been amazing. I could talk to you for an hour on this, but I know everyone wants your time. Good luck with what you're doing, and I hope we're doing our part to make your job a little bit easier. Thank you.
You are very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with
Stay
you.
safe and wash your hands because of that fake cough you did.
Take care.